America, and this is Q News Tonight, the world's first live daily gay evening news show, and it's 7 p.m. Tuesday, February 4th, 2020. Tonight is the State of the Union. Q News Tonight is live and unscripted, so anything can happen, and tonight we bring you the news of and a perspective from the LGBT community. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and these are my co-anchors and friends, Aaron Dar and Napoleon Plays. They're shocked that I said friends. Let's cue up the news. We first begin tonight with breaking Q news. And of course, that is the results and the election decision-making that we all learned last night on Iowa. Or maybe not. Aaron, tell us about what's going on in Iowa.
Well, from breaking news to breaking the election. After a chaotic night in Iowa, the presidential campaigns and political world are in a flux as the results of the first Democratic caucus have only been released just this evening. The Iowa Democratic Party has briefed various campaigns announcing its plan to release the majority of the results that it started to release this evening at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Some of the campaigns, though, are protesting the release of these partial results. So we've seen 62% of precincts have reported, and they show that candidate Mayor Pete Buttigieg leading with 26.9%. In second, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont at 25.1%. Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts from 18.3%. Former Vice President Joe Biden at 15.6%. United States Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota at 12.6%. And resident cool Asian guy, Andrew Yang at 1.1%. Very interesting to see how this plays into the New Hampshire primary of next week and how this will also play into the states where former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg will be actually on a ballot.
Well, it's certainly big news. I'm curious, from a political standpoint, I know both of you watched the Democratic caucus last night. What was your thought process, especially with so much at stake in the first gay LGBT candidate, presidential candidate in history? What was your reaction of no results, and oh, by the way, more no results?
It felt vaguely familiar, akin to our midterm election here in Florida just a couple years back when we were waiting into the night for results that eventually did come, but were frustrating after recounts and all sorts of debacles there, and as well as the recurring thought from the years prior still when we're just waiting for recounts constantly to have no hope that either it's being done correctly or that we're getting the true results in the end.
And what were your thoughts, Aaron?
I mean, I was a little surprised that obviously we didn't get the results until today, but you know, stuff happens. But I think that this is crucial because going into what will arguably be the most important election of our lifetime in November, whoever the Democratic nominee is, I think there's something to be said of going back to paper ballots and voting in that methodology rather than doing so digitally.
An interesting observation that we hear, Gen Z or millennial, y'all clearly have forgotten Gore v. Bush.
537.
And 537 votes of hanging chads. And we're right back to the exact same place approximately 20 years later in a digital app having the exact same results of crashing an election voting night. It's just shocking to me. We're going to talk more about this throughout the show. We move out of our breaking Q news to queuing up the USA. And of course, we stay in the same vein about the Iowa Democratic vote reporting debacle leads to many questions of whether the Democrats and the Democratic Party have the ability to win. We've prepared this video for you. Watch this.
In the running. What a disaster for the Democrats. And as President Trump tweeted out, Donald Trump is the clear winner of the Iowa caucuses. And of course, look, tonight's State of the Union, he has got a great story to tell about the work he's done to get the country back on track. And you contrast that with a group of people who can't even create a website, an app to send results in for a caucus. This is basic stuff, just like they failed on the Obamacare website. They weren't able to get this right either on the Democrat side. And they want to run the country after what this president's done to turn it around. Again, a really sharp contrast. Maybe we'll hear about it more tonight at the State of the Union.
Well, The Trump team is already working to promote the inconsistencies in the results, which is in effect looking to invalidate the eventual nominee and prove that they are illegitimate. In fact, Trump tweeted just this morning on Tuesday, "The Democratic caucus is an unmitigated disaster. Nothing works, just like they ran the country." That was just today after Iowa. Iowa has set a standard of what we're going to expect, or at least what is expected of the Democratic Party. It is normally the first, and it is the big kickoff for any candidate that wins. And while we're going to discuss that again throughout the night, this comes at a time that is at the eve of the State of the Union for Trump, right after he's looking to be acquitted for his impeachment trial. We're all asking, is this really just Iowa, or is this the Democratic Party? What do we come to expect moving forward, and how much of a disaster really will this reap in our nation?
Thoughts?
Technical fails happen. I mean, I don't think you can blame any one state. This could have happened in Florida. I wouldn't be surprised that it does happen in Florida. This could happen in New Hampshire. It could happen in Arizona. It could happen anywhere.
Allow me, please, to disagree
Yes.
with you for a moment.
Okay.
Bloomberg is running this from a business situation. Don't you think Bloomberg's approach, if he was running it from a business standpoint, they would have tested that app and tested that app and tested that app where it would have been completely foolproof?
Well, I can't speak to whether or not the people who were actually using this app had tested it prior to the night of the caucus in Iowa. However, I will say, though, I find it quite distressing because after the 2016 election, there was a unity, if you will, amongst the Democratic Bylaws and Rules Committee within the Democratic National Committee of Sanders and Clinton supporters that come together. And Sanders' surrogates, some of his top surrogates, even Jeff Weaver, his campaign manager, were advocating for this very app that they're now saying perhaps rigged the election in favor of America's first gay candidate. So Senator Sanders wanted this. This was a concession. This was a compromise to move to this.
On another point, I think it's interesting that you bring up Bloomberg because he's made the effort to not have that many ads that are out before Super Tuesday. And maybe we're going to see that that's actually the strategy that is worthwhile. What we're seeing here is that the push that was expected from the winner of Iowa is not only not going to get that push because the results aren't in, but the candidates are already in New Hampshire, so they're not even going to get
They've
the live
moved on.
appeal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's almost worthless, some are saying.
America, we tell you here at Q News Tonight, we're kind of tonight follow the model at 60 Minutes. We're all big fans of 60 Minutes in terms of doing commentary. And tonight, our commentary is going to be specifically on this subject about Iowa and its effect on the election. We move into queuing up the USA, and tonight we report that the GOP in Texas has once again rejected as perverted Log Cabin Republicans' request for a placement at state convention in Texas. We've prepared this video. Watch this.
Texas State Republican Convention to be held in Fort Worth that coming June. Log Cabin applied for an information booth in the hall, which is common among Republican organizations at every convention. But unlike every other GOP group that applied, Log Cabin's application was promptly denied. The party didn't stop there. State Party spokesman Robert Black compared the Log Cabin Republicans to the Ku Klux Klan and child molesters in the Texas news media. Black said the state party would not rent space to pedophiles, transvestites, or cross-dressers.
So the video that our viewers just saw was from a 1998 documentary called On the Front Lines. And unfortunately, from 1998 to 2020, we see not much has changed in terms of the Texas Republican Party. Because for the last 20 years, the Texas Republican Party has refused to allow the Log Cabin Republicans to have a booth at their annual state convention. They don't plan on breaking that pattern now. The gay group's request was rejected again when opponents were describing members as immoral and perverted, and that these people should not be welcomed into the Republican Party. GOP also has nixed this group's request to be recognized as an official affiliate of the Republican Party of Texas. Others have gone on to say that the people associated with this group are immoral and perverted sexual proclivities, and they've also said that they don't have a basic belief in God or the Bible, of which they are founded on. They also expressed that they could not find anywhere on their website of the Log Cabin Republicans an expression of their faith in God, which you would likely find on a Republican website. This is a Republican senator that said this.
Well, we are reporting tonight that the Log Cabin Republicans, which are Republican and gay, don't have any support in the state of Texas, and you wonder where in other places around the country where the gay and Republican meet. Certainly not in the deep in the heart of Texas, for sure. We continue in queuing up the USA and report about a key Weinstein accuser is due back on the stand after an emotional day of testimony yesterday. Aaron, tell us about what's going on there.
One of two unnamed victims that have alleged rape by Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein have taken the stand today. One even going as far as shouting to the jury that he is my rapist. She was subjected to long hours of cross testimony from the defense, and it was quite shocking and reading this personally, because she was subjected to really being re-victimized by Harvey Weinstein's lawyers, because she was essentially reliving this over again, and they had to call for a recess. And this comes in lieu of him being alleged to have sexually harassed over a dozen women.
Oh, well, that's where we see the progress of the Me Too movement as it starts 2020. Are LGBT voices important to you? Can the news of the world have a gay community perspective? If you, like us, think the answer is a resounding yes, then like and subscribe to Q News Tonight on YouTube and on Facebook. Do our gay cultural stories impact you, your friends, and family? Start a watch party. It's very easy, and it supports the gay community. Here's how.
Absolutely. Queuing up the USA, Trump eyes revenge on Bolton and other impeachment adversaries in the weeks to come. We've prepared a little information about what is going on here. Watch this.
In a letter obtained by Al Jazeera, the White House warns Bolton not to publish his book without deleting classified information. On Twitter Wednesday, Trump said the book was nasty, untrue, and all classified. Democrats want to call Bolton as a witness. They'll need support from 4 Republican senators to make that happen.
That video highlights the Trump cease and desist letter on the memoir that was written by Bolton and comes out soon. This is a book that alleges that Trump told him directly that Ukraine aid was tied to Ukraine, announcing the investigation into the Bidens. Trump has stated since then that he has been after, or at least it's reported that he's stated that he's after other Republicans like him, Adam Schiff, and others who have opposed him publicly. Trump blamed the former National Security Advisor, Bolton, for leaking the details of his book to purposefully derail the impeachment trial by pressuring the Republicans to call witnesses, which, as we know how both turned out. The former official stated that the White House was, a former official stated that the White House was planning to leak White House emails from Bolton that alleged that Bolton abused his position at the National Security Council.
I'm curious with the book coming. He's going to make millions and millions and millions of dollars on the book. Now that the Senate is not going to hear his testimony and does not think his testimony is valuable as it relates to impeachment, do you expect significant results to come after the book is?
I do. The
printed?
book is called The Room Where It Happened. It's obviously written by former National Security Advisor John Bolton. I would not put it past this summer, at least, for other things to come out, not just from John Bolton, but former Chief of Staff John Kelly and others that have firsthand knowledge of this alleged Ukrainian phone call between President Trump and President Zelensky of Ukraine, that the House Democrats, the caucus led by Speaker Pelosi, would not draft additional, that they would not consider drafting additional articles of impeachment. I suspect that it will continue.
It indicates that this story is not going to go away anytime
Yes.
soon. And Q News Tonight, we're going to continue to follow it. We queue up the world tonight in going to Iran. Iran is set to execute an alleged spy who is said to have passed on nuclear secrets to the CIA. Aaron, tell us about what's happening in Iran.
Yes, really distressing story personally. Iran has said Tuesday that its top court has confirmed a death sentence for an Iranian man by the name of Amir Rahimpur, who's convicted of spying for the CIA, with the state media alleging that he has shared the details of the Islamic Republic's nuclear program with the American spy agency. So they're alleging basically that he had received money from the CIA, and in doing so, they are sentencing him to death. There were also 2 other additional arrests, but those individuals that were seen corroborating with the CIA are getting 15 years in prison each.
Do you expect from this story from Iran that it'll have any additional harm or effect on U.S. relations? How poorly they are, but
No, because I mean, I don't want to say that this is standard, but this isn't unhistoric. This isn't unprecedented for one international power to spy on another.
yeah, okay. We move out of world news into queuing up business, and we report tonight a very interesting story at Starbucks. And Starbucks warming the heart of anybody that has seen this new ad that they've released, which calls a trans man by his name. We have a copy of this. Watch this.
Gemma Miller?
Gemma Miller, please come to room 4.
Hello?
Hello, am I talking to Gemma?
Hey, Dad.
Hey! Carol, you remember my Gemma?
Gemma. How you doing?
And what's your name?
It's James.
James?
At Starbucks, writing your name on a cup and calling it out is a symbol of our warm welcome. It's a small gesture, but it's a symbol of what we believe in. Recognition and acceptance, whoever you are or want to be. We welcome everyone. And that's from Starbucks in the UK. This is a part of the What's Your Name campaign, hashtag What's Your Name, which is, as you can see in the commercial, all about a group of people that are dead naming this trans man who finally finds acceptance at Starbucks when his name is given as he wants it to be. This commercial was the winner of Channel 4's Diversity in Advertising Award, which means that it's guaranteed £1 million in commercial airtime in the UK, which is incredible. And if you go to Starbucks in the next few weeks or months, buy one of their mermaid fin cookies, and that will be donated, so the profits will be donated to Mermaids, which is an organization that helps support trans families and gender diverse families, help find information and reassurance for their community.
I haven't seen this commercial until right now, right along with all of you. It's quite beautiful. Aaron, I'm sorry.
This is why
You're human.
Yeah, right. Well, this is why Q News tonight is here. I mean, truly, we're here to lift the perspective and the voices of the LGBT community.
During the Super Bowl, I mean, that
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, Q News tonight is part of the Happening Out television network, and we are the Daily News. But you can also watch the best of entertainment live every Monday night at 8 p.m. on happening.fun. We are also part of the most popular live gay TV show in the entire world every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on It's Happening Out. It's a talk show like television's The View with a whole lot of gay people, just like Al.
And Aaron, we continue in queuing up business. $15 billion a year. YouTube reveals an astonishing ad revenue total for the first time. Aaron, tell us about what's going on at YouTube.
Yes, right. So Alphabet, it's a parent company that of Google that owns YouTube. Its CEO Sundar Pichai has stated that YouTube has topped over $15 billion worth of revenue just last year, and this does not include subscriptions from YouTube TV. I mean, that blew my mind personally. So I mean, this really speaks to the power of YouTube as a platform, not just for shows, of course, like ours, but it's serving as a streaming service for countless videos worldwide.
Mm-hmm. Combined with Google and search and YouTube online and video, It's an empire.
My home family just got rid of their cable, and yes, they have Netflix and Hulu and other things, but they did it because they're regularly going to have YouTube TV as their cable.
Amazing reporting. We queue up a Vote 2020. Of course, incredibly important tonight because it is the State of the Union. We encourage you to watch the State of the Union and watch the president and what he reports. Tomorrow is the impeachment vote in the United States, and the Iowa caucus has begun, even if we do not have the results. So we queue up a Vote 2020 in a variety of different ways. Our first story that we report tonight is win or lose.
That's my question.
It all just went right down the toilet, is where it all just went.
But I just ask you to look inside your heart because you sound like a Christian woman to me, and I'm a Christian woman, and my God wants me to love everybody. I do, yep. I do.
So you must not believe it then if you think it's okay for somebody to be married to a same-sex person.
I think we're just interpreting it different, and that's okay because everybody gets to have their own beliefs. But what I teach my son is that love is love.
To put that video in context, the woman that you see arguing about Pete Buttigieg is asking for her ballot back. This is right after she casts a vote for Pete and then finds out that he is in fact gay. So the entire scenario that you're seeing played out right there is her learning, and you're seeing a relatively civil political conversation between two opposing parties. Obviously, she's not giving her ballot back because that is illegal, but she is at least learning about the candidacy and potentially even learning that maybe all people are created equally. She was willing to vote for somebody without knowing their sexual orientation. This is the kind of thing that we're seeing all across the country that you described yesterday. The cracks in the glass ceiling are starting to be shattered across the country as we see Pete being treated like an equal, as a human first, not just as an LGBTQ candidate.
I think it's I love this video. This is last night at the Iowa caucus where you watch a woman, an older white woman in Iowa, learn that the candidate that she has just voted for in the caucus is gay. And you get to watch her reaction of, wait, I don't understand, this is not possible, even to the point where she asks for the ballot back. And what is beautiful about this moment, in my opinion, is the interaction between the two white women of why she should be open-minded and at least stand there and be civil in the conversation. That is caused only because there is a gay candidate for president of the United States. All stop. Like a black man in 2008. Any other thoughts?
Well, I have to give major props to the precinct captain that you saw in the video that was there for Mayor Pete. She handled that so beautifully, and I guess it was evidently the worst kept secret ever. But I don't know how someone didn't know that Mayor Pete, who's very open about his sexual orientation and his husband, Chasten Buttigieg. I don't know how she didn't know that, but it's distressing to see because Democrat or Republican, there are people that do not support equality in both parties.
He, by the way, last night in saying, I think I might have done pretty well speech, which is what all the candidates could do, he introduced his husband last night on national television. It was quite a moment. We move out of Vote 2020 and queue up entertainment, and much lighter here, we report that Justin Bieber opens up about mental health problems and addictions in a docuseries called Seasons. We've prepared a little bit on that. Watch this.
I don't suggest this, but I was 13. Yeah, 13, 12 or 13.
And this is when he started to realize that he had a problem.
And that's when I realized that I had to stop. I don't think it's bad, I just think for me it can be a dependency.
And from there, Justin went on to reveal that he started drinking lean, taking pills, doing Molly and trying mushrooms. He said, quote, "It was just an escape for me. I was just young like everybody. It was just normal growing up things, but my experience was in front of cameras and I had a different level of exposure."
So as you just saw in that video, pop star Justin Bieber has a new docuseries on YouTube called Seasons. In Seasons, he talks about his plight and with his issues battling mental health and addiction. Addiction centered around drugs like marijuana, codeine with cough syrup and soda, which is also known as lean, MDMA, which is also known as Molly, and psychedelic mushrooms. He also talks about his battle with Lyme disease and that a lot of this had to do with his anxiety. So he was self-medicating.
Our community can speak greatly, the LGBT community can speak greatly on the ideas of addiction. We're 3 times more likely to become addicted to substances or things just because of different things that we experience in our lifetimes, and that's statistically accurate. And so we have to make sure that we're vigilant to other people that may be in need as well, regardless of their orientation.
Do you think, just broadly, and we're reporting this as an entertainment story tonight at Q News Tonight, do you think this will add credibility to Justin Bieber?
What do you mean with credibility?
Credibility in terms of he's considered a light pop star, and there's lots of jokes about his music. Do you think that this will add the value to the brand of Justin?
Like make his music more intense? Because I would say that he's the Britney Spears of his time for sure. But I think that yes, he'll have a Vegas show just like she does, but he will come out with more work. He will find more ways of appealing to his fans and making more money, and it will be a cyclical cycle, as it often can be in addiction.
Okay, well, we move out of entertainment, and we tell you that finally tonight, related to our broadcast, we are coming from our new set in the middle of the World AIDS Museum and Education Center, right here in the heart of Wilton Manors and Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Of course, we always joke we're broadcasting here live on Wilton Drive, and we are coming from the gayest place on planet Earth. We want to thank our set designer here in our new set of Concepto Modern Living that is located here in Fort Lauderdale. We continue queuing up entertainment by reporting tonight that Adam Lambert has announced that he is going to be the first Manchester Pride Star attraction. And Aaron, tell us about what's happening at Manchester Pride.
Yeah, so American Idol alum Adam Lambert, who is now frontman for Queen, has been announced as the first musical act of this year's Manchester Pride Live Festival. It's a live music festival that takes place over a 2-day period. And this is going to take part of his UK tour to promote his new album called Velvet.
Excited about Adam Lambert coming to Manchester?
He is an incredible singer. He displays such an intense technique, and obviously you've worked with drag queens before. He takes a lot from the drag world, even as a man. So he can inspire a lot of people, as he has, to show that it is not just okay to wear makeup or be as flamboyant as you want, but to sing in any key, octave, or way that you can. If you're moving people, and he does, as far back as he's been on American Idol or Glee, he makes an impact. I bet Manchester is excited.
Yeah, and the top pride in Europe is Manchester. It always surprises people. It's not London, it is Manchester. We continue in queuing up gay culture tonight at Q News Tonight, and we report kind of a geekish story, which is why Napoleon's going to be reporting it, that 21% of the United Kingdom's gaming industry identify as LGBT in a new study. We've prepared this to set up this story. Watch this.
The Kingdom Interactive Entertainment Lobbying Group has partnered with the University of Sheffield and produced one of the largest surveys of the games industry workforce demographics, with almost 1/5 of the industry participating. The media covering the census have underlined their main headlines. Depressingly, UK's games industry still has 35% more men in it than the national average. In better news, the survey found that 10% of all UK game workers were non-white, which is a slightly higher percentage than that of national working population. 21% of people working in games are LGBTQ+, the national average is around 3 to 7%, so these are very healthy numbers indeed.
We are reporting news from the video game industry, the fastest growing entertainment field in America, in the world, a place where Pokemon is the top franchise of all time in terms of money at over $70 billion, more than Star Wars or the MCU. And what we're learning now is that it is also a very friendly place to work if you are in the gaming sphere and you want to work and be open about who you are. Over 2% of people that are in the UK have reported that they are non-binary, with 70% being man and 28 male and 28% being female. And as we stated, 21% of the UK games industry people that work for them are LGBTQ. You can see how excited I am as I report these numbers going through. A general from the UK stated that gaming is more diverse than the general UK workforce, cultural and creative industries, and managerial professional jobs in general. As you can see, we have numbers that show that it's in the UK, but I think it would translate around the world as well, as you were asking before, that there is a very strong field of people that attach themselves to the gaming community because they're so excited and about finding a way to connect with people.
Aaron, I know you know this. Napoleon is a gamer. Are you a gamer?
No, I spend a lot of my time reading.
Yeah. And
no, that's not.
They're not mutually exclusive either. You know,
no, that's not the answer that you were looking for. I'm not a gamer, but
when we came out of the video package on the story, Aaron and yes, that is shade. Aaron and I were laughing because we poke at Napoleon all the time. Gaming is it's fantastic that it is so LGBT
and they also
inclusive.
They also have an initiative called Raise the Game, #RaiseTheGame, and it's where game companies pledge that they will create a diverse and inclusive workforce and environment. This is a new proponent to get that launched.
And before we move out of it, I just have to say I just love and think it is hilarious that one of the most popular games in the world with all of this LGBT embracement is called Pokemon. I just think that's hilarious. We queue up science tonight, and we talk about food and our diets, and we ask how much meat is good for you. A new study shows the sobering reality of this. Watch this.
Meat. Is it okay to eat when it comes to heart health or not?
Cutting down on meat consumption has clearly been shown in multiple studies to be helpful.
Cardiologist Dr. Stephen Kopeski says meat, especially red meat and processed meat, is associated with increased risk of many health issues, including heart attack and stroke.
Well, everybody from the World Health Organization to the American Cancer Society has said, don't eat so much processed meat.
You scream, I scream, we all scream for meat. A study published Monday in JAMA Internal Medicine links 2 servings of red meat or poultry per week to higher rates of heart disease and premature death. The only kind of meat that was in this study that was not associated with cardiovascular disease or death was that of, but what else? Fish. This study is based on diet information collected by 29,682 people that have been pooled from previous studies conducted between the years of 1985 to 2002. So stay away from the red meat, kids.
Yeah, and it is probably very clear. I'm virtually vegetarian, so I paid attention to this story. You're gluten-free.
I'm gluten-free, and I spent over a decade of my life as a lacto-ovo vegetarian, and I know how much differently my body felt and how much more strong my core felt when I was eating more plant-based or things that were absorbed quickly.
And the gigantic meat eater at the table is...
Oh, no. Well, okay. So I'm on a Little Caesars diet right now. Actually, you might not have heard it. It comes with a side of ranch or a bottle. So when they say pizza, I thought I had to really order 2.
Oh dear.
So. It's never a dull moment. But in seriousness of this, people should really take into account their consumption of red meat because it is very dangerous and it really leads to higher rates of early death and cardiovascular disease.
Yes, very good advice.
Stay away from the meat, Al.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tonight we're going to do a new segment.
And we are going to do a new segment based in commentary. And this is going to be why Democrats may have just handed the election to Donald Trump already. So here she is, boys. Here she is, world. Here's Al.
In January, I went to Aspen to ski and had a significant fall and head injury that knocked me out. It required a helicopter ambulance to a neuro ICU in Denver. When I woke up, I saw our world in a different way, and I thought about many things differently. This is just one example. Disaster. 10 reasons why Iowa may have re-elected Donald Trump. Vote 2020 got underway on Monday as we began the march to a world breath-holding election on November 3rd. Perhaps the election of our lifetime. All the hate, all the hope, all the words, all the money, all for nothing. Iowa dropped the ball, and it may just get Donald Trump reelected. Here's what we should understand about the catastrophe of the Iowa caucus. Number 10, At the minimum, Iowa is over. It does not represent America in demographics. It definitely is very white and has a caucus system that is ridiculous, old-fashioned, and undemocratic. Iowa, it's over. Let's agree to that. Number 9, Iowa is strong for Trump. This morning on Fox and Friends, the White House had reaction to Iowa saying, if you can't run a caucus, you can't run America. Let me show you a little of that. Watch this.
It's fine. There's a lot of noise right now. I will just say I think that could be a preview if the Democrats were to take office. So, boy, what to
That's what Brad Parscale, he said, Democrat Party meltdown. They can't even run a caucus and they want to run the government? No, thank you.
This disaster does nothing but strengthen his base. Trump needs just 2% more voters from any of these buckets in Florida, or from gays, or from Latinos, or from African Americans, or from women. He's already got older white people and billionaires. If this strategy is achieved, Donald Trump can be reelected President of the United States. Number 8, is Iowa a warning to all of us on Gen Z and millennials' younger voting turnout? Early results seem to show there was not a huge wave of new voters. 2020 Iowa Democrats predicted a record-breaking run of 300,000 and only achieved 57% of that prediction. In fact, 2020 was exactly approximately the same as 2016, even with population growth in the last 4 years. First glance seems to indicate Bernie may not have brought out a huge wave of new young voters, different than came out in 2016. And then perhaps a first major warning for Democrats coming failure in November 3rd's vote, because Iowa voters largely did not pay attention. Perhaps a reflection of impeachment overdose. Number 7, the first steps of the Democratic 2020 vote is disastrous. The election of a lifetime is in the balance, and this process is what we are going to place our faith in. Here's what the GOP is saying today. The GOP's spin could be the way the 2020 election goes. Kayleigh McKinnon, the Trump campaign national press secretary, called the delay peculiar and questioned whether Democrats were rigging their caucuses in Iowa. She tweeted this morning, "They just can't let the people have their way." The effect of the attack seems to be quite effective. Number 6, Bloomberg looks today to be the smartest person in America, both in staying out of Iowa and that the Democrats may need a smart business decision maker that he is making the case for now as we speak. It seems that is exactly what Senator Cruz said today when he tweeted, "Dems right now can't even stand in a gymnasium and count how many people move under the sign. These are the people who want to be put in charge of our health care and everything else in our lives? No, thank you," says Ted Cruz. Number 5, Trump gets to say fraud 1,000 tweets coming and influence undecideds that the Democrats will try to steal the election. Tonight is the State of the Union, and tomorrow is the final impeachment vote. It's on now. And the Trump boys said the same thing to America today. The only question is, are we listening? The Donald Jr. tweeted, "And by quality control, they mean fixing the results to get the candidates the Democrat overlords in D.C. want." Eric adds, "Mark my words, they're rigging this thing. What a mess." Number 4, $300 million was spent in Iowa on this caucus, and so much time and more, all lost. So let's go out and donate $18 to our favorite candidate as we simultaneously waste millions, hundreds of millions in Iowa. Meanwhile, the Republicans make the Iowa argument, which is why you choose the Donald in November. Trump will argue this is the choice between him and the Democratic nominee. Andrew Clark, Trump campaign manager, tweeted this morning, Democrats are not even being able to report the results of their own election is the most perfect metaphor for starting 2020. Number 3, the candidate who wants fundraising aid and a national bounce, say with me, Mayor Pete is harmed the most, is completely lost. The first gay candidate loses the greatest moment in political LGBT sunshine of our entire lifetime. We can't get that back. Mayor Pete and the first LGBT presidential candidate potential win is lost because of what happened yesterday in Iowa, regardless of what the still to be determined results are. Number 2, Iowa wants to be the first for attention, and now they have it forever in massive failure. First, and the only one that benefits from all of this is Donald Trump. Why? Because now the Iowa failure, because of a caucus and Democratic management failure, will allow him to say to all of the voters of Iowa, Democratic and Republican alike, I stand with you and put you first. In fact, that's exactly what he said this morning. President Trump will use the Iowa Democrats and Republicans to start the delivery of his reelection by tweeting, as long as I am president, Iowa will stay where it is. It's an important tradition. He divides the state and America for the goal of his win in November. Number 1, Iowa is 92% white. They are not the tapestry of America, but rather the tapestry of the Republican Party. And that may have been delivered to America not by the Republicans, but by the Democrats. So today, Iowa may really have got what they wanted the most, to be first. And they may be the first to deliver the election to exactly who they hate the most, the Donald. Don't misunderstand. My anger is that this could have been bundled so badly. And then I wonder if we even care about this. And most importantly of all, what do we want to do next? I'm Al Ferguson, and this is Commentary. Tonight we finish at Queuing Up Good News at Q News Tonight. And Coca-Cola bought the front pages of Switzerland's newspapers this week for a pro-LGBT message. Napoleon, tell us about what's going on with Coke.
This Sunday, February 9th, Switzerland votes on a discrimination protections clause, which will allow currently will help the limited protections against the discrimination based on sexual orientation, which occurs in Switzerland. Currently, they ban marriage for same-sex couples, adoption by same-sex couples, and in vitro fertilization for lesbian couples. 65% of the country has been reported as being in favor of adding sexual orientation and to the country's anti-discriminatory clause. And Coca-Cola, you can see the ad that they had on multiple newspapers all across Switzerland in the back with a rainbow, has also tweeted, Coca-Cola is enjoyed by many in Switzerland, regardless of age, gender, skin color, religion, or sexual orientation. The vast diversity in a small country like Switzerland requires understanding and solidarity from everyone. So you can see that they've really tried to make a stance with the LGBTQ community.
It's an awesome demonstration by Coke in Switzerland, and they have similar campaigns around the world, but I have never seen such a blanketed effort in
on multiple newspapers, not just a single one, but multiple of their most important newspapers that are seen across the nation.
All right, well, America, that's today's news for the LGBT community on the world's first daily gay evening news show. Remember, if it's important to the LGBT community, it's important to Q News Tonight. Tonight is an important evening, the State of the Union. Tomorrow is an important day, the vote of the impeachment of Donald Trump. And we've begun Vote 2020. So for my broadcast anchor partners, Aaron Darr and Napoleon Plays, I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and we literally tonight are out of the closet and into the headlines. And this is Q News Tonight. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow night.